Welcome to Learn English with Fun with Sahasriya. Hello there, this is Govind here. Welcome to Learn English with Fun with Sahasriya. Twice every week, we focus on English grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and speaking skills. In this episode, we are focusing on how to introduce yourself. Remember, if you need any help with your English language skills, then be sure to check out with Sahasriya by subscribing to our Spotify podcasts or search Learn English with Fun. If you don't have a Spotify account, you can visit www.sahasriya.com for the complete set of our podcasts, which are categorized as per the discussion. Do note that our podcasts are short and impactful and are posted twice a week. There are different ways to introduce yourself in English, like how do you introduce yourself to the CEO on your first day at work? Or how do you introduce yourself to a group of people if you are public speaking? Well, how do you introduce yourself to an IELTS speaking examiner just before your test? Let us find out. Introducing yourself can be awkward, especially if you don't know the right type of introduction to use, because, as I said, there are heaps of them. The right introduction depends on three factors: who you are speaking to, why you are speaking, and when you are speaking. Really? These three factors can be summed up into a single word called context. The context of who you are speaking to, why you are speaking, and where you are speaking will change your introduction significantly. Imagine you are meeting your new parents-in-law and you say, "Hey, how is it going?" This would be awkward. Or imagine you meet a stranger in a restaurant or a movie hall and you say, "How do you do?" That would also be awkward. Understanding context is very critical if you want to introduce yourself properly, because there are actually set phrases, set introductions, set ways that you are supposed to use in each context. The problem is, no one ever teaches you the stuff. You are supposed to just pick it up as you go along. Well, I'm going to teach you in this podcast. Always remember that if you need additional help with your grammar, if you want to understand everything you hear or read and you want to express yourself completely, then check out www.sahasriya.com, where you can take great online English courses on a range of different topics. We can divide context into three different formalities: informal, semi-formal, and formal. But before we look at each formality, subscribe to all our episodes for more English language related podcast, which is published twice a week. Let us start by looking at informal introductions. With informal introductions, you are typically speaking to someone around the same age as you. This happens a lot outside of work, in cafes, in restaurants, or in streets. And the reason you are introducing yourself is to be friendly and likable. In many languages, what you say changes a lot depending on who you are speaking to. In English also, the changes are very much there. Not a lot, but it certainly does with introductions. Okay? So in informal context, we can introduce ourselves with great phrases like, "Hey, how's it going? I am Govind." "Hi, how's things? I am Govind." "Hi, how are you? I am Govind." There are some other introductions like, "What's up?" This is very American. Or "What's going on?" This is very Australian. There are other informal introductions that are specific to certain places, and you might want to learn these, but you should be careful because some of these are very informal, and if used inappropriately can sound a bit weird. You are safer with the ones we just saw. They are universal and just the right level of formality. There are also lots of synonyms for friend that are used in these informal introductions as well, such as hey man, hey bro, hey buddy, hey mate, hey dude. These words are typically used by men speaking to men and also depends on the place. For example, in Australia, they often say, hey mate, but I don't think they say that in the United States or other English speaking country. So listen carefully to what the locals say and mimic that. And as far as women introducing themselves to other women or a men with another woman, we have noticed that they don't say man, bro, sister, or buddy, or mate. They just say hi or hey. Let us now look at semi-formal introductions. With semi-formal introductions, you are typically speaking to someone older than you or someone who you consider to be in a higher social position than you. This happens a lot in workplaces. And the reason you are introducing yourself is to establish a healthy, respectful connection between you and the other person. So maybe you're thinking about your boss or your doctor or a police officer or a teacher or a professor and so on. And here you don't want to say, hey, what's up bro? It's not cool. Totally inappropriate. For these types of introduction, use set phrases like, hi, I don't think we have met. I am Govind. Hi, I am Govind. How are you? Nice to meet you. You are Dr. Ankita, right? I am Govind. Now, if you're taking the IELTS test and you want to know how to introduce yourself to your speaking examiner, then use a semi-formal introduction. IELTS speaking is semi-formal. It is not informal and it is not over-the-top formal. It is a nice balance between the two. It's kind of like meeting a stranger who is a bit older than you. You want to establish a healthy, respectful connection, isn't it? So, when the examiner comes to collect you from the waiting room, smile and wait for the examiner to introduce himself or herself to you before responding. Or take the upper hand and say, hi, I am Govind. Nice to meet you. Importantly, with IELTS, don't kowtow to the examiner while walking to the examining room. Maintain your dignity. Be strong. Silence might be the best option. It is not an awkward silence, it is a silence of you knowing what to do in the exam. Remember that speaking examiners see lots of people every day and they may not want to engage in small talk, but do whatever you feel is right. Just be respectful and maintain your own dignity. Let us now look at formal introductions. Alright, now when it comes to formal introductions, we are really talking about two contexts. Introducing yourself to someone who is a lot older than you, an elderly person, or when speaking in public. So, there is a really old person who lives in my building named Shyam. He's probably about 80 or 90 years old. And when I see him in the staircase or outside, I always greet him with, hello Shyam, how are you today? Good morning Shyam, how are you doing? And if you need to introduce yourself, you do something similar. You would say, hello, I am Govind. It is really nice to meet you. What's your name? Eye contact and friendly energy is always important, but it is especially important when introducing yourself to someone much older than you. But what about public speaking? Public speaking can be daunting. It can be scary because it uses different communication rules than usual informal or semi-formal contexts. Like, why do people say without further ado? What does that even mean? When public speaking, you are typically speaking to a small or large group of people and you are speaking to inform or educate or maybe even entertain. So, how should you introduce yourself when public speaking? It is very easy. Say, hello everyone, I am Govind. This is such a simple, humble, and powerful way to greet an audience. Hello everyone. It's really nice because it includes everyone and you are speaking to every person, not a group.